All right, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Matt Cornwell. I work directly in the Saunders College of Business at RIT. My official title is Assistant Director of Student Services and Outreach. Really, all that means is I work directly with our undergrad and graduate prospective business students. And then my colleague, Peter Rosenthal, is here as well. He's our Director of Student Services. Peter is going to kind of be monitoring the chat for me tonight, just as questions come in. So I definitely would encourage, as I go through the formal kind of component of the presentation, to certainly feel free to put any questions you have in the chat. We certainly welcome those. And then as we get into the Q&A portion at the end, I feel free to unmute yourself or use that raise the hand feature, and we can take questions that way as well. So I'm going to share my screen now. And everyone should be able to see that. I'll get it in presenter view here. All right. So I do, as I mentioned, I do have a formal presentation that I'll run through. Again, please feel free to answer any jump in with any questions that you may have. I definitely would welcome any questions, and I'm happy to field those during the presentation as well as at the end. So certainly feel free to do that. So the session tonight, I'm going to focus on some overview information about Saunders, which is in this first slide here. I will run through an overview of our program portfolio. So we did have some recent changes to our portfolio of programs. So I do want to highlight that as well, because I know some students may be thinking about certain programs that we're actually kind of moving in a different direction with. With that said, though, a lot of the coursework and some of the programs that have shifted will remain the same. So I do want to spend a little bit of time hitting on that. And then some of the new developments too with our portfolio, as we have some new STEM designated programs for international students, and some updates to just our MBA curriculum kind of at a high level. Not major changes, but just slight variations because of the STEM designation with the program. So, and then I'll get into some details, kind of high level details of each program that we offer. And again, jump into the Q&A at the end. And I do want to stress that this session is really meant to give you all an overview of what we have to offer, because I think a lot of folks may think that we just have the MBA, and, you know, well, our MBA is our largest graduate program. There's certainly other MS programs that, even if you don't pursue them, can still be part of our MBA curriculum. And then again, some standalone opportunities as well. We have a total of 6, 7 MS programs as well. So I'll get into the details on those too. But let's get started here with just a quick overview of Saunders. I know we may have a fair number of current RIT students on the call and even some Saunders students, but I do want to give an opportunity to those that aren't as familiar with Saunders, just a little bit of background. We are AACSB accredited, so only 5% of business schools hold this accreditation. So I think it's important to keep that in mind as you consider graduate school options. The accreditation process is certainly rigorous. We went through this a couple of years ago, the reaccreditation process for AACSB. So it is a very top-notch accreditation to have as a business school. So certainly something to keep in mind as you go forward. We have just over 330 grad students. We actually did some research on our class that started this fall, just this week. We're actually almost 50-50 international domestic in our traditional MBA and MS graduate programs. So we're really happy about that and that kind of split there. You can see here some other tidbits, and I won't spend a ton of time on each of these, but I think the other piece there at the bottom is that we have a very strong alumni network as well that you can certainly leverage as a student. We have an alumni office directly within Saunders, as do all of the colleges at RIT. So it is definitely a connection point. And frankly, we have some alumni that are pretty heavily involved in Saunders and certainly willing to meet with students and, have students just kind of pick their brain about their experiences within Saunders, whether they were undergrad and grad and those types of things. So certainly keep that in mind as well. All right, and then I do just want to hit on a few of our rankings. We do just like to kind of highlight those in the beginning, just to give you all a sense of what those look like from our standpoint. Our MIS ranking, that is an undergraduate ranking, but it does certainly spill over into our graduate programs, as the MIS faculty were a big part of developing a program like business analytics, our MS program in business analytics. So that program is number 3 in the country. We are top 100 from a graduate business school perspective. Technically at the undergrad level, we're the number 1 business school in Western New York. And then you can see some of the other rankings that we have over there on the right-hand side. So, certainly things that we like to highlight, but again, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this as well. And then these are just some key folks in our Office of Student Services that I think are important to keep in mind as you work through the process. So again, any prospective student I will work with, Peggy Terrell, who is our Senior Associate Director of Graduate Business Programs and Admissions, she works closely with our applicants once you do apply. She likes to call all of our domestic students and some of the international students, if you are ultimately accepted. So you'll likely hear from her throughout the process. And she's a key point person, even post-admission. She does quite a bit of work there in terms of just overseeing the graduate programs. And then if you are ultimately admitted, you will be assigned an academic advisor, and that's Noelle and Ann. They both advise. Their exclusive job is to advise our graduate students. So, you wouldn't necessarily have a faculty advisor from the sense of advising you on academic related content with respect to that. Certainly faculty are accessible, but it's something to keep in mind that you will have a staff member that's your go-to from an advising perspective. One quick note too that I didn't mention in the first slide, but I think is important when you think of RIT as a whole. So RIT is currently the 10th largest private school in the country, I believe. We have about 15,000 undergraduate students, about 3,000 roughly graduate students. But as you can see, Saunders is on the smaller side. So one of the big benefits there is you get that kind of small, close-knit college attention and atmosphere, but you have those large university resources as well. So I think that's a very key thing to think about. And oftentimes it's something that is enticing for students, whether they're undergrad or grad, to ultimately enroll within Saunders. And I think that, is a big benefit, and it plays to our benefit. I think the other thing from a faculty perspective as well, we do not use teaching assistants at the graduate level or at the undergraduate level. So you can expect in our programs at the graduate level to be taught by our faculty. They are the ones giving you the feedback on the work. They are the ones, obviously teaching the classes. And the class sizes generally are 25-1. I think the average is actually 23-1 roughly. So, just some context to keep in mind for those that aren't as familiar with the RIT community on the whole. So as I mentioned, the brunt of tonight is going to be spent on the portfolio of graduate programs we have to offer. So a couple highlights to keep in mind with our programs, and some changes, some very recent changes that frankly are still being updated in some of our materials and even on the website to a certain extent. So our MBA is now STEM designated for international students. We are very excited about that. For those that aren't familiar with what a STEM designated program is, it gives international students the opportunity to stay in the US for an additional 2 years on their OPT, the optional practical training that they have the opportunity to enroll in after they complete a degree. So the MBA is now STEM designated. So that option to stay in the US for a total of 3 years is available for any of the STEM programs, but the MBA was a big one for us to get that STEM designated. We do have the accelerated 4+1 pathway for the MBA. In essence, what we do with that is we take courses that you completed as an undergrad student within 5 years of matriculating in the MBA, and we'll waive corresponding classes, foundational classes in the MBA program. So for example, coursework at the undergraduate, within an undergraduate business curriculum that's very common are financial accounting and managerial accounting. So if you get a B or better in those 2 courses, you can waive that foundational accounting course in the MBA. That is not limited to just RIT students. We do have students, we have 4+1 partnerships with almost 20 external colleges domestically. And then if you attended a different college that isn't within the agreements that we've established, we'll still review your coursework based on kind of our framework of those course waivers to see what could be waived in the program. Now, the key with the course waivers is you can waive up to 6 classes. It's not all or nothing. You could waive from 0 to 6 courses. So whatever you qualify for, you would be able to waive that. And you must have a B or better in those classes for them to be eligible to be waived. And again, you have to have taken the courses within 5 years of matriculating into the MBA program. So simply put, if you took, for example, a financial accounting course in fall 2017, you would have to matriculate in the MBA in fall of 2022 for that course to be eligible, okay? So if folks have questions on that in terms of the course waivers for the MBA, certainly reach out to me. Whether you're a Saunders student, whether you're an RIT student, we certainly partner with outside non-business students to pursue this path. And then if you're coming at it from a different college, or if you study business as an undergrad and just want to know what you might be able to waive, keep that in mind. The MBA, as I'll get into in a little bit, it's 48 credits total, so 16 classes without the course waivers. But if you get all 6, it goes down to 30 credits, and that's where the +1 comes into play. The MBA can be done full or part-time, and that's regardless of whether you do the 4+1 or not. So full-time status is usually 12 credits or 4 courses per semester. Part-time is usually 6 credits or 2 courses per semester. And then we do have an executive MBA. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that program tonight because we do have a separate kind of entity within the college that recruits for that program and all that good stuff. But that program is on-site or online. Typically, the on-site program starts every fall, and I believe they do try and start the online program every fall and spring if they can. The key thing with that program is twofold. One, you have to have 6 years of professional work experience to be eligible to apply for it. I think the average work experience is actually about 12 to 13 years for students enrolled in that program. And then 2, the GMAT or GRE is actually waived as a result of the work experience in the EMBA. Whereas with our traditional MBA, we do require the GMAT or GRE. There are instances in which we can waive it for the traditional MBA, but that is something that generally is required for the program. And then our discipline-specific MS program. So I think one of the things to keep in mind with an MBA versus an MS degree is that discipline-specific nature of an MS degree. So when you look at a business analytics MS degree, that is what you're focused on throughout the entirety of that program. So in our program curriculum within business analytics, you're going to take financial accounting, marketing analytics, an advanced business analytics course, a foundational data analytics course, and then you have the option to add some analytics electives. Where on the flip side with the MBA, it's more traditionally a generalist degree. So you're taking foundational courses in a variety of different areas. So that's why it can be attractive to non-business students, at least from the sense of what you studied as an undergrad student. And then you get the option to elect a specialty. We've kind of moved away from calling it a concentration, but which can be, again, in a number of areas, and those can spill over into our MS degree. So we have specialties in business analytics, accounting, finance, marketing, supply chain management, project management. So you can kind of find a cluster of courses that would be able to be a specialty and kind of build that in. A couple of highlights with the MS degrees, just from a general sense in terms of the portfolio. We currently are no longer accepting applications for the Service Leadership and Innovation MS degree and the MS degree in Human Resource Development. That, again, is fairly recent development, and our website is still kind of being updated to reflect that. Those 2 programs are going to be combined into one program that we're hoping will be ready by, I think it might be wishful thinking that it'll be ready by fall 2022, but it'll certainly be ready by fall 2023. That program will be titled Organizational Learning and Innovation. So they're going to kind of leverage the courses from those 2 discipline areas in service leadership and human resource development and kind of build them into one program. We're not able to really kind of recruit yet for that program or advertise it, but it is coming, and it'll be coming down the pike. And then our computational finance program, we're kind of parking that program as well. And the big reason for that is because our finance program is now STEM designated, the MS program. And frankly, a lot of the computational finance coursework that was traditionally in MS Comp Finance can now be done in the MS Finance program, because that program, 6 of the 10 courses within that program can be done as electives. Okay, so it is very flexible and customizable. So if you had interest in comp finance, you can still certainly work in a fair amount of that coursework from the old program into the new one, and still get that STEM designation. Even potentially look at something like the CFA exam and taking that. And then, yeah, so those are the big updates. We also now have a program in accounting and analytics. So we did have a class start in that program this fall, but we'll be kind of on a full recruitment cycle for that program. And that's also STEM designated. So of our 7 to 8 different options at the graduate level in terms of programs, the majority are STEM designated. And then we do have a couple of advanced certificates as well, that are basically condensed down, what we like to call bite-sized versions of a full MS degree. Those typically are 4 courses, and they can then be leveraged into an MS degree if you want to go that route. All right, so before I get into kind of some of the high-level overviews for each program, I do just want to spend a little time on scholarships too, because I think that's certainly something that's important for students to be thinking about, and I know it's something that's typically at the forefront of what students are thinking. So the general rule of thumb is our scholarship range, and it's merit-based, is typically between 20 and 50%. So generally speaking, outside of some of these specific incentives that we have, the highest scholarship award we give is around that 50% mark. For any honors students, RIT honors students, we do give a 55% tuition scholarship as long as you complete the full honors program. And then for those that graduate from RIT, the master plan scholarship is actually still in place for students who start in spring 2022, but that's the last semester that 55% is going to be available for all students. Okay, so keep that in mind. We also have a leadership fellows program within Saunders, so that's really eligible for all of our programs. I mean, we have in the past limited it to certain MBA and MS programs, but really it's kind of opened up to all of our graduate programs. That is an opportunity for some professional development. You get paired with a mentor as well, a professional mentor. Typically they're from the Rochester region, and you get a chance to really kind of build that relationship with them. There's some professional development pieces as well that are part of that program. There is a scholarship available for the fellows program. Historically, there has been, and we're kind of working through how we want that scholarship to look going forward. So we'll have some updates there. And then for fall 2022 and beyond, there is a minimum scholarship guarantee of 30% for RIT alumni. And then for any of our 4+1 partner students, so those students at schools like Homing, Potsdam, SUNY Geneseo, SUNY Brockport, there's a bunch of other ones in that kind of cluster, and just reach out if you have questions, if you're undergrad alum, if you're an alumni of an undergrad program within really New York State. And then we do have a couple partnerships outside of New York State to see if you fit that. The minimum scholarship range for those students is between 30% and 35%. And then again, if your merits are strong enough, you can be considered for more scholarship in all these instances, with scholarships that are kind of in that 30% kind of starting range. We certainly will consider students for more based on merit. That's kind of what we do with that.
Matt?
Yep. Question
in the chat. Is the Saunders Leadership Academy a part of the Leadership Fellows program?
So yes, it is essentially. So the Leadership Academy is kind of really geared towards undergrad students, but the faculty member that oversees the Leadership Academy, Molly McGowan, she does oversee the fellows program as well. So it is in essence part of that, but it's specific to graduate students. Okay, so you do have to apply for the fellows program to be considered for it. So it is, you're not involved, you're not just part of the fellows program for being in the Leadership Academy, but it is, kind of part of that umbrella of the Leadership Academy within Saunders. But right on our website, there's information on how to apply for the fellows program. And that's something that you wouldn't have to worry about until, sometime early in the spring semester in terms of applying. And then students usually hear on whether or not they're in the fellows program and have been accepted in like April, May timeframe. But that's a good question. Is there one more there? Okay. Thanks, Michelle, for that question. That was a good one. But again, certainly something you can consider. And again, historically, we have offered a pretty significant scholarship for those students, but we're kind of working through how that's going to kind of pan out going forward. So we'll definitely, especially internally, be highlighting fellows quite a bit. But it's not just for RIT students. We have plenty of students from outside of RIT that pursue that, whether they're international students or students from other, US institutions that pursue, again, really any of our MBA or MS programs. And definitely, if there's other questions on the scholarship piece of things, certainly let me know. And the scholarship review that's all automatic. You don't have to do anything additional to be reviewed for merit-based scholarships. It's wrapped into your review as an applicant from that standpoint. All right, so let me just get into some of the overview just in terms of curriculum for the programs. So the MBA format, I'm just gonna grab a drink here. So the MBA format is, again, 16 total courses with no course waivers. And then from there, if you're waiving classes, it would just condense down by, whatever you qualify for. It's really 11 core courses. The capstone course is really wrapped into that. All students have to do that. So it really comes out to 11 core courses. And then the big difference now is 3 of the 5 electives you do have to be STEM designated electives. That's a little bit different of a change up from what we have done historically with the MBA, but that STEM elective listing is expansive, and I'll show you a listing of the courses in a second. But there's plenty of options there. Again, areas like project management, marketing's in there, things like business analytics, management information systems, accounting. You could work in accounting and analytics type of content as well. For those students in the accounting field that might be looking to sit for the CPA exam, you can still pursue the MBA, take a couple accounting electives and still qualify for the CPA exam, for example. Finance coursework as well for those that might have interest there, supply chain management. So there's a pretty good extensive listing of STEM courses that you can choose from. And then the graduate electives, those can be any course at RIT. So if you're an engineering student, for example, and you want to leverage some of the engineering management courses from the MS degree in engineering management, you can do that. We've had students do that. If you're interested in sustainability, as long as you meet the prerequisites, you can look at a couple courses from sustainability. If you have interest in maybe diving deeper into computer science or programming, we've had students do some computer science courses. Again, pending the prereqs in those classes, if you meet those, then you can certainly pursue those courses. So that is something to keep in mind as you work through that. So that's really kind of what the MBA looks like from a format standpoint. And did we have another question? I thought I saw one pop up.
Oh, that was just me saying I have to head out to class, but thank you for putting this together.
Oh yeah, no problem, Michelle. Thank you. Good to see you, and thanks for jumping on.
Good to see you. Have a good day.
You too. All right, so so this is kind of just a sampling. I mean, this is a fairly exhaustive list, but it's certainly not fully inclusive of everything from a STEM standpoint. And this list will continue to grow as we move forward. But this just gives you kind of an idea of some of the classes that you could look at. And again, you can see the different clusters here. You got marketing at the bottom, some management, project management type of stuff, MIS, finance, and a lot of these are finance courses that have been known to be in the comp finance program. Project management, there's a advanced project management course, and then business analytics are the BANA courses, and then accounting's up here. So again, pretty good sampling of courses. And if you have an interest in an area that might not be listed here, let me know, reach out. I mean, we've had students pursue, we have an MS degree in health systems administration. I believe that's the title. It might have shifted titles, but we've had some students take coursework there and even work in a, kind of a fuller specialty within that. So again, the STEM piece of things may limit that or it may not, depending on what the courses qualify. So, but certainly with the grad electives, there is opportunity to kind of scope outside of business if you choose to. All right, so I guess before I move on, any questions on anything at this point or the MBA specifically? I know I've been talking a lot and I do selfishly want to grab a drink here too. All right, so we'll continue forward here. We do offer an MS degree in global supply chain management. So this is the set. We've had 2 sets of students, cohorts, essentially go through this program, or actually one that's gone through it, and then another one that just started this fall. Supply chain management is really at the forefront. I think, especially with COVID and the implications there, it's been, kind of right up front. The emphasis with this program is really on the global aspects of supply chain management, as well as giving you a strong kind of analytical and quantitative grounding with respect to, analysis of the supply chain. So we have a really cool supply chain analytics course you'll do, global business analytics. I think analytics is a big part of all the different kind of degrees and grad MS degrees that we offer, and grad degrees if you kind of choose that route, or MBA degree, I should say. So it is definitely something, that can provide a really good foundation for those that want to further leverage their career and grow into career in supply chain. From that perspective, I think the program does a very good job of kind of pairing up and piecing apart the different aspects, whether it's exporting, sourcing, from a product perspective, kind of ordering those different materials, where they're all coming from, all those things. And I think it does a really good job of kind of pairing that up and piecing it apart. And, there is some predictive components built in the program as well, in terms of predictive analytics. How can you use the analytical information you're getting to, pursue and predict those future trends? That can be a slippery slope, but it can provide some really good sound knowledge there. So it is, a really strong program. In terms of structure, it is a 12-month, 30-credit program, so 10 courses. And again, it is STEM designated. One thing to call attention to with regard to the 12-month piece is that 12 months is a full calendar year. Okay, so when we say that, you are traditionally within an MS program, and this is if you're going full-time, you would start coursework in the fall and then finish up in the summer. So it would be fall, spring, and summer. So normally students would do, 4 courses in the fall and spring, and then finish up their last 2 courses in the summer. We do give students the opportunity, if they do want to pursue a co-op in any of our MS programs or the MBA, that is an option. Generally, it would extend the program by a semester, but when you do a co-op, you're not paying tuition, you're not taking classes, and you're getting paid. So it can be beneficial even if you're extending the program by a little bit. I would say maybe 15 to 20% of students are doing co-ops. A lot of those tend to be international students because they want that experience. And that's one of the things that, drew them and attracted them to our programs. And it's certainly an option, whether it's the MBA or MS program. And generally, for all of our graduate programs, if you're looking at a co-op, you need to complete 2 years, or not 2 years, 2 semesters of coursework before you start and begin that co-op. Because graduate co-ops, they're kind of a tick up in terms compared to undergrad co-ops, just in terms of the level of experience and what companies are looking for and requiring in some of those students. All right, and then our MS degree in Technology, Innovation Management, and Entrepreneurship. So we call this the MS Time program. This program was also kind of revamped. We had a previous program in entrepreneurship, but we revamped this one 2 years ago. And we're seeing some really strong interest in it. Again, this is a 12-month, 30-credit program as well, and it is STEM designated. There's 2 tracks within this program that I think are important to keep in mind. There is the technology management track, which is tailored towards those individuals who are either working for established companies, or that's their kind of goal, to work in an area like product development. So if you have that interest, this program would be a great fit for you, and that tech management track would be a phenomenal fit, because so many companies are looking into the entrepreneurial space to develop products, obviously. And that tech management track is tailored right for those students. And then the second track is tech entrepreneurship. So that is more traditionally, when you think entrepreneurship, really designed for those folks who are, seeking out potential business endeavors that are entrepreneurial in nature, are looking to become kind of their own owner of a business that's focused on the tech aspects of entrepreneurship. That's the track that you would want to think about and look at pursuing. So that's the secondary track in this program. We have, and I'll spend a little bit more time on this towards the end, but at RIT, we have what's called the Simone Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and there's some strong tie-ins with that center. There's a lot that you can do within the Simone Center. We have different mentors. The director of that center, Richard DiMartino, he is one of our faculty. He teaches a couple of classes, I believe, in the program as well. So just keep that in mind. That's where the large kind of university resources come into play, is with the Simone Center. And that's not by any means limited to students just in this program. It's very intentional to be cross-discipline across all of RIT, not just within Saunders. So that's something else to keep in mind there as well. All right, so the MS degree in accounting and analytics, this is another 12-month, 30-credit program. I will say this is one program from an MS perspective that could technically be done in 9 months, so just in 2 semesters. But it really kind of depends on how you're going to structure the coursework and what the availability is. So we really kind of advertise it as a 12-month, 30-credit program, and it is STEM designated. I think one of the things that we do really well in at RIT from an accounting perspective is the tie-ins in areas in the area of analytics and management information systems. That is one of the huge differentiators that employers cite when they're working with our accounting students. And that's why we created this program, is because the tie-ins from an MS or MIS and analytics perspective, because that is where accounting is going. It's not just bookkeeping anymore. It is intensive from an analytical skills perspective, working with clients and, kind of gauging, just that all that data that's out there and how you can utilize that to enhance their financials and from accounting perspective. So that's one of the big things that differentiates our accounting students from others, is this focus. And that's a benefit of being at a tech institution like RIT. So you can see there some of the highlighted coursework. One of the key things with this program, because of the analytical focus, is we do ask students who are pursuing this to, once they're admitted, this comes after you're accepted, to take some preparatory programming coursework in R and Python. Okay, so that is kind of wrapped into the program a bit. It is something to think about, taking, and really it'll be required of you to take that prior to starting the coursework. And that is something just so everyone coming in from that programming standpoint is on an even plane. And again, we'll work with you on that post acceptance and after you're admitted to get that coursework done. And then for any undergrad Saunders students that might be accounting students that are on the call tonight, I'm not sure if any are, but we do have a BS/MS program option for those students that is accounting and analytics. The big differentiator with BS/MS is you're guaranteed a 40% tuition scholarship, and you also get to double count a course in your undergrad and grad program. So actually the grad version in the BS/MS program is actually only 27 credits as opposed to 30. So there is the ability to double count that course. And that's really what a BS/MS program is all about, is kind of double counting those classes. So yeah, so that's the accounting and analytics. And then our MS in finance, again, which is newly STEM designated. This one's technically 31 credits because there is a field exam preparatory kind of 1 credit course that you'll do before you do the field exam. This program is, again, I mentioned it's very flexible. So 6 of the 10 courses in the program are electives. So I believe it's 3 finance electives you have to do, and then 3 kind of free electives. Actually, they might be STEM electives now because of the STEM designation, but regardless, there is a lot of flexibility there. The program is really designed to prepare students for managerial careers in finance, whether it's corporate, investment, portfolio management, and then those that might be interested in the financial engineering side or the comp finance side, the more quantitative side. That's certainly something that the kind of new version of the STEM program can prepare you for. There also is the opportunity within the curriculum to be prepared for the CFA exam, the Chartered Financial Analyst exam. So you can see there some of the highlighted coursework. And again, a course like financial analytics is going to become very common in this program via the electives, and then accounting and analytics could certainly be another course that you add in this as well. So we're really excited about that designation, and being able to move forward with the MS degree in finance. Again, it's when you think 12 months, it is that full calendar year. And then our business analytics program. So this is our largest MS program. It can actually be done in person or online. So we actually have two different routes that you can go. They kind of cater towards two different audiences, which I'll get into in a second. But again, this is another 12-month, 30-credit program. It is STEM designated. It's really, it's data. That's really what this program is structured around: data strategy, formulation, collection, to enhance those decision-making pieces and skills. Again, we do, similar to accounting and analytics, we do ask students to take that preparatory coursework in R and Python. It's used heavily in the advanced business analytics course. You're not going to be expected to have a computer scientist background in R and Python by any stretch, but it is a tool that is helpful to have a very good understanding of, and what those languages look like and how they're incorporated. And again, within that advanced business analytics course, it is something to keep in mind. I think one of the key things with our business analytics program is you're going to get exposure to analytical kind of functional areas in different disciplines within business. So when I say that, I'm saying it with respect to marketing. There's a marketing analytics course you'll do, financial analytics. There's an accounting and information systems course that you'll do as well. So you're kind of getting those different analytical functional understandings of those different business disciplines. So that is something to keep in mind as you kind of explore the program. And I believe this program has 3 total elective courses. I believe it's 2 analytical electives that you'll do, and then 1 kind of free elective in the program as well. So it does have a few more core courses within it, but those are pretty well developed. And then the on-campus version of this program is STEM designated. The online version is not. Now, I think the key thing there is the on-campus version of the program is really not catered to, but is a lot of the students pursuing that. We get a fair amount of international students and then domestic students who may have just come out of undergrad or have limited work experience. The online version is really tailored towards professionals that have, some work experience. That's really what we're seeing from that perspective. A lot of domestic students and, pursuing that program that have like 3 to 6 years of work experience. And that's kind of what it's catered to. One thing really for all of our MS programs too, to keep in mind, generally from a full-time start perspective, you're looking at the fall for all of our MS programs. And then most of them could be started part-time in the spring, but those are usually looked at on a case-by-case basis. One of the key things though with the online business analytics program, it is a part-time only program, and it can be started in the spring because it is part-time only. So, that is something else to keep in mind as well. Yep, so that's MS Business Analytics. And then this is the last program I'll get into, our MS degree in Hospitality and Tourism Management. So this program is not STEM designated, but it's 12 months, 30 credits, and really geared towards folks that are looking for either to expand a career in a leadership capacity within hospitality or the tourism industry, or you might be looking to shift gears and you might be looking to change into the hospitality and tourism management industry. One of the cool things with this program is there's quite a bit of flexibility with it. So you have kind of 5 core courses within hospitality and tourism management that you'll do. And then there's 5 kind of elective options that you can work in. So those could be in areas like analytics, MIS, the technical side, or something like accounting. We have a lot of hospitality students, I shouldn't say a lot, but some that will go into, an account management type of role because of their business foundation and those different skill sets they're getting. And a nice thing with this program is you actually get to select a culminating kind of experience in terms of you get to work either on a capstone project, a thesis, or you can actually pursue a comprehensive exam. So that kind of ties the program together, similar to the capstone course within the MBA program, and some of the other programs have that as well. That project option, that's something that's highlighted by this hospitality program too. All right, so that's the full scope of the program portfolio. And I just have a couple slides here that I'll wrap up with. I think one of the big things from an RIT degree perspective is the strong outcomes rates that we have. So our outcomes rate is 95% across all of our programs. And actually the grad level, it's more in line with kind of a 97% outcomes rate. Again, the co-op program is an option at the graduate level. We have one of the oldest and largest co-op programs in the country. You can see there some of the data with respect to placing students and different co-op assignments. We are bringing back the on-campus career fair this year. That is something that you could certainly leverage as a graduate student. We have on-campus employer interviews, alumni visits, all that good stuff. And you'll actually be assigned a co-op advisor if you ultimately enroll at RIT, in addition to your academic advisor. That's Julian Hennerfroth, who works in our co-op and career services office. He advises all of our graduate students from a co-op career perspective. And it's not just focused on co-op either, from a resume building perspective, from a job search perspective, even a negotiations perspective from a salary standpoint. All of those things are resources that our career folks can leverage, and it's a massive office. The support is second to none, and it's one of the big differentiators at RIT. And then entrepreneurship, I mentioned the Simone Center. We have the Saunders Accelerator Program, which is a program that you can certainly apply to as a grad student. It gives students the opportunity to work kind of in a structured environment on their business endeavors, and you can actually seek out funding for it. You can even, get, paid potentially for it. We have some students that pursue the Accelerator program as a co-op. We have Tiger Tank competitions where you can actually, present your business ideas to investors and then potentially seek your funding for it. We actually, have in the past given scholarships to Tiger Tank winners as well. So, that's something to keep in mind. And then we do have the Venture Creations Incubator. That's kind of a step up from this Accelerator program. And that's kind of geared towards some of the top-notch business ideas to get even further funding and further support within the incubator. And then we do have a consulting group that works, with external folks from that standpoint on co-ops, internships, and then some real-world projects. And then if you have a product idea that you want to prototype, there is the construct as well. So there is a lot of support from an entrepreneurial perspective. All right, so I wanted to wrap up just kind of with the application requirements for our programs. And again, this is general, but there are certain nuances to keep in mind with respect to like GMAT and GRE waivers, which I'll hit on in a second. But you can apply right at rit.edu/apply. You do need a bachelor's degree, obviously, to pursue a master's. You can, if you are in progress with a bachelor's, you can certainly apply before you graduate. We obviously just need verification once you're done. We do like to have students that have a working knowledge of algebra or statistics. So this is generally most students, fit the mold here. However, if you're an RIT student in a BFA program, for example, Bachelor of Fine Arts, we will work with you to pursue this. So oftentimes we'll have students take some introductory courses in algebra or statistics before they start. So it's not like you have to worry about not being able to apply if you don't have that. It is something though we'll work with you on to get prior to starting. Official transcripts, obviously, and that's from all previously completed undergrad or graduate coursework. If you have graduate coursework you've done, we might even be able to use it towards some of our programs, depending on what it is. And again, generally we do require the GMAT or GRE, and that's really applicable to all of our programs. The GMAT is preferred. We will, for RIT undergrad students, we do waive the exam if you have a 3.25 GPA or better. And then for external RIT folks, we do give consideration on a case-by-case basis, depending on work experience. And really that's kind of the key piece there. Or if you already have a graduate degree. So if you are coming at it and you already have completed a grad degree, we would also consider a waiver. And that's, again, is case by case. So if you have questions on that, reach out to me directly. And then we require a personal statement, current resume, and then for any international students who are on the call, we do require the TOEFL or IELTS. TOEFL scores should be no lower than 88, but we prefer a 92. And then for the IELTS, score should be no lower than, no lower than 6.5, but we do prefer a 7.0 or above. We're not currently accepting Duolingo. We prefer the IELTS or TOEFL at this point in time. So certainly keep that in mind as well. And then any international students who have a US degree, whether it's at RIT or another US university, the TOEFL or IELTS is waived. So keep that in mind too, that it is waived in that instance. All right, so that pretty much wraps up the presentation. Definitely, feel free to start your application. Just note there some of the different opportunities we have for folks to waive their application fee. It is a little bit less than some of our competitors. I know some folks charge about $100 for theirs. Ours is $65, so just keep that in mind. And then I think a good next step is just to reach out and meet with us one-on-one. So definitely, this kind of sets the stage for what's offered. And then from there, we can hash out, individually speaking, what is going to work for you. Because all of you are coming at this with different experience, different backgrounds. So, it's definitely an individualized process, and certainly something we would welcome a conversation on. So that wraps things up. Definitely, I would encourage any questions at this point in time if folks do have questions. Again, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can use the chat as well if you want to do that. No questions? Come on, somebody's got to have something. Nothing? Nobody wants to break the ice? All right, so, all right.
I had a quick question. Do you know like an exact list of like the business fundamental core classes that could be waived, or is that a case by case depending on like what major and what program you go into?
So you're talking about like the undergrad course waivers, Logan?
Yep.
Okay, yep. So yeah, so I can send you the link from the website. All the course waivers are only for the MBA though. So you have to keep in mind that for our MS degrees, those programs are already 30 credits to begin with. So there's no course waivers there. It's just a 30 credit program. So it's 10 courses. But with the MBA, because it is longer, you have some of those foundational courses. So Logan, in your case, because I know you're a Saunders student, so accounting and finance, the financial accounting, managerial accounting are the two for the accounting course waiver. Operations management is used for the operations course. For finance, it's financial management and an upper level management course. Marketing, principles of marketing, upper level marketing. MIS, same thing, the foundational MIS course, upper level MIS. And then for economics, it's just micro and macro for the econ courses. And I think that's all of them. Oh, and the management one is OB, organizational behavior, and then business ethics, or another management course that is pre-designed. But I'll send you the link from the website because it spells it out pretty clearly. And that's really the case at most, like if you're coming from another school and a lot of those courses sound familiar, we'll certainly, again, look at those, if you're not an RIT student or an RIT undergrad, and use those for course waivers, as long as you meet the criterion with a B or better, that 5-year kind of window. But yeah, good question. The course waivers, again, if, we can certainly discuss that further as needed, but, and yes, I will send out the recording for sure, Wes, that is something I'll send out as well. All right, any other questions that folks have? All right, so I'm going to throw my email in the chat. So, and you can certainly send an email to that grad bus account as well, because that comes to me too. But definitely feel free to send an email if you have questions or if you want to meet and discuss things further. I'm meeting with students both via Zoom or phone, but also in person. So, you know, even if you're not at RIT, but you want to come for a visit, you can certainly set that up. We're still doing on-campus visits. And again, that's for grad students as well as undergrad. So you can do a campus tour and then we can meet afterwards, you know, get a feel for the building. We're actually going to be going under a building expansion as well. So, but definitely feel free to swing by campus too, even if you're not here. So, but yeah, thank you everybody for jumping on tonight. And I look forward to connecting with folks going forward. But have a good evening, stay healthy, and we'll stay in touch. Thanks again.